welcome back. Today we are working on a 1998 BMW 740Il. This car has a crank no start concern, and I think the owner, not another shop, the owner changed the fuel pump and a crankshaft position sensor in efforts to remedy this concern. No RPMs on the dash. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's lacking an RPM signal. Some cars don't show it on the dash, even if the CKP, I was gonna say CKP, but the crankshaft position sensor signal is good. So for now, let's go ahead and take a look at our pre-scan. But first, I'd like to thank our first ever official Supermariodiagnostics channel sponsor, Topdon. Topdon is making a great name for themselves by not only providing our industry with innovative tooling, but also showing their generous support for technical training both at a local level as well as a national level. In my experience, their customer service is second to none. They are the tools I pick up when working on complex diags and programming, and I recommend them highly. So as you can see, we have several codes. We have 8 codes. One of them is open circuit continuous power supply, 6C. We have random code storage. This is the immobilizer system. This is an EWS that is part of the immobilizer system. That is the immobilizer, actually. We can't see whether these are active codes or history codes. We do see a 6B voltage supply main relay. We also see something unrelated that would not cause a crank no start situation. Also with the tank venting valve, that would not cause it either. Map activation, that will not cause it either. And fuel injector codes, that will not cause it either. More than likely we're gonna have misfires, or that was a result of the engine stalling out. Doesn't matter. But what we're really looking at is voltage supply issues, random code storage, and another power supply code. So taking a look at our intro, we saw a relay housing there. That may give us a clue as to where the customer was headed, which is impressive because, you know, how many customers are there that will take the time to dig into complex systems? I mean, even for a 98 BMW, these are still very much like the newer ones. Well, not the newest ones, but the newer ones. And it just goes to show that BMW doesn't change all that much. They do, but in certain aspects they don't. What's really catching my attention is that voltage supply DME main relay code, the 6B code, and I really want to dig into that one first. So let's go ahead and find a location for this relay and dig into that first. Right, so we are in the diagrams, and by VIN we're going to look up, let's just take a look at the diagrams first to see how this works. It's obviously setting a code, so I would have to think that there's some kind of monitoring wire coming from the DME relay to the DME itself. But let's see how they make this happen, and let's see if we could get a location on the relay itself. So we have, so here's our diagram, and I see at the very top an engine control module relay. We've got a hot at all times, an 80 amps, which I'm pretty sure that's got to be good, because I mean, to blow an 80 amp, we probably have a lot more problems than that, but could be wrong. We're gonna do our due diligence and check everything. And our ground comes from our DME way over here. Let's go back. Our power that is on the load side comes from the same 80 amp fuse and comes out and spits out the 2 different lines and powers up other things. So I think that's the first thing we're going to look at. So let's go ahead and see if we can find any service information pertaining to this main relay. So let's go to search vehicle information. Let's go to DME relay. That's how the new ones show it. Let's see if this shows it here. Okay, so we have main relay control testing and inspection. We have replacing master relay, M60, M62. This is obviously an M62 over here. Let's go ahead and take a look at its location. And it looks like in the electronics box in the passenger side of the underhood area. So let's go ahead and take a look at that and take it from there. So much like our newer vehicles, there's an electronics box here, and we've uncovered it, and according to the diagram, we have two red and white wires and one red wire and one brown wire. So our brown wires are command from the DME. Our key is on, and this one's a little different. It's not your typical relay. It is a little different, and I'm hoping you guys can see this. There we go. But the most obvious thing is that our 85 and 86, so to speak, which is our control side, is our ground from the DME. We see a 0.7. That's a little higher than I like it, but our power side of that is 12.4, and according to our diagram, these two are the load side. We got 0.2 and 0.2, so our relay either is open or this ground is not low enough to ground fully our relay coil and close that contact. So what we could do is remove the red lead here that I'm probing with and put that to ground and listen for a click if we ground this wire. If the relay was good and the issue was a DME level, the ground level provided by the DME, we would hear a click, but we hear no clicks. Most of these are real easy to take apart. We can do that. Let's see. I just want to prove the concept. So we got our relay open and we can see our contactors here. Let's go ahead and reconnect it. Of course, you're doing this at your own risk. If I get zapped, I get zapped. What can I say? So I'm manually closing this contactor, and I can hear my IAC and everything turning on. Hey, Martin! And my brother stepped out, so he's not here to help me, but I guess what I could do is prove the concept and temporarily zip tie it. I guess I could zip tie that, yeah. Let me go grab a zip tie and carefully lay this down so that nothing touches it. And we're gonna go ahead and try to start this thing to make sure there's nothing else going on. This could in fact just be a relay issue. And thanks to our monitoring wire on our DME, we have a code that it sets. So pretty straightforward diag, nothing crazy. But let's keep in mind the customer did replace the fuel pump and the crank sensor for this concern. So we got our zip tie on, and let's go ahead and try to crank this thing. Nice. So I'm gonna see if we can get an approval for a relay. I'm sure it won't be an issue because I'm pretty sure the customer will be pretty happy to replace a relay rather than on any other part, really. So we've proven by closing this relay that everything is good from our power wire, our fuses, I mean absolutely everything. There's no open circuit between the DME and the relay. There's no issue anywhere else other than this relay not clicking closed. Now, is that ground sufficient? Who knows? But all I do know right now is that closing this contactor starts the vehicle. We do see a 0.7, which it is kind of high for me. We do see a 0.7 on our ground command, Oh, and I turned my key off, so we do see a 12.8. So we are getting something from the DME, and you guys can not even see this. I'm talking, you guys can't even see what I'm doing here. So we are getting something from the DME. Turning off the key proves that something is coming from the DME, since we're now seeing 12.38 volts, but we are seeing 0.7 volts with the key on. That could be a little high, and that could be a result of a very suspicious ground to our DME. 0.7 volts, that's a little higher than I like it, but is it enough to close a relay? Could be. But right now we know one thing for sure: this relay is no good. So we have to replace the relay and then continue forward. If the new relay does not fix this vehicle, we're going to have to find out why the DME is not grounding completely this circuit. The DME is only the middleman between a good ground, battery ground, and this relay. So let's go ahead and put a new relay in this thing. Alright, so in case I needed to move the vehicle around, I kept it as is. We've got our new relay, and our part number is right here for those who need it. That is the part number, and make sure your pins are as shown here. You do not want to put a regular relay in here, because you may mess something up. Let's go ahead and install it. This is very common. If you see a green relay on a BMW or a Mini Cooper, do not put a regular Ford relay on it. I have seen that before. I heard my clicking. That's good. Let's do some wiggle testing. I heard my IAC engage. So I think we've got a fix here. Let's go ahead and start up this vehicle. And we are done. This vehicle is fixed with a relay. Now, keep in mind, this customer had the book in the trunk. I don't know if you guys saw that intro, but customer had a book in the trunk. That really takes me back to what got me into automotive to begin with. I actually had a motorcycle that needed fixing, and all I had was the manual, the service repair manual online, a PDF. Went 6 months reading that thing and ended up fixing it myself before I ever started working on cars. I'm for DIYers. I'm for right to repair. I think everyone should everyone should be able to work on their personal property. I think it's great. Now, there's times where things like this happen, where you're gonna misdiagnose it and you're gonna put a fuel pump in there or a crank sensor, because, well, you know, it's not like you do it every day. You're taking the time to train, to learn these systems and all that. So to all the DIYers out there, if you have any doubt whatsoever, you're reading the manual and you have any doubt whatsoever, use this video as an example to consider hiring a professional if it comes to that. I say it in all my videos, just about all my videos now. Consider hiring a professional in order to avoid the cost of misdiagnosis. The fuel pump could have been cheap. Crank sensors, maybe not that cheap, but still. Maybe not that expensive, but still, it's still a cost. So I'm glad this is fixed. The customer, I'm sure, is glad that this is fixed. And I will leave it at that. Thank you all for taking the time to watch. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to hit the bell notification to get a reminder for when a video comes out. And leave a comment if I missed anything. I'm sure I did. I am going to put the cover back on, obviously. There was no signs of water damage. It looks like that was just natural causes for these relays. It is a pretty old car. It's a 98, so if that's the original relay, which I think it is, it lasted a pretty good while comparatively speaking. If you compare it to these newer cars, they don't last all that long. So thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you on next time.